Welcome to a conversation with Senator Michael Moore. My name is Kevin Byrne, and Senator Michael Moore is our state senator representing the 2nd Worcester District, which consists of the town of Shrewsbury and all 38,000 of its inhabitants, and some other city, and a part of the city of Worcester, and some other towns that aren't as important as the town of Shrewsbury. There, I've said something, and you can't tell me who all the other towns are. Although you will, okay?
No, it doesn't make any sense because they're changing anyways. So.
Everything's changing.
Yes.
No, you had so many towns. Now everything's been redistricted, and we're gonna have you got a GPS, so you can get everywhere anyway. Correct, Michael?
Oh yes, it's
Okay.
very easy now.
All right, it is the middle of August. We have just gone through a mind-boggling heat wave, and we were down on Cape Cod where it was very, very hot and very, very humid, but we had a wonderful time down there, but no rain, big drought, and yesterday we decided to come back to beautiful downtown Shrewsbury, and on 495 you could not see the road for the deluge of rain and sleet and hail and a plague of locusts that came through on 495 on our way back. But it was, I said, it's what, we got home here to Shrewsbury, late yesterday afternoon, and my God, it's raining. It hadn't rained we couldn't remember what it had last rain.
So I had the pleasure yesterday of golfing in a golf tournament for an autism school.
Oh my God.
And it started off okay I think within the first 20 minutes it was a downpour.
Yeah.
And which lasted probably like an hour and a half. Then it cleared up for a couple hours.
No kidding.
Yeah.
All
Then
right.
then we got hit with the last 2 holes. It came down again.
It came down again.
Yeah.
All right.
So-
Well, in any event, we've had lots of heat and we've had lots of drought, but it's raining. And
So let's just hope we're not going to be like other parts of the country and
Oh
have
my God.
the droughts followed by floods.
floods, the
Yeah.
flooding that's going on. Can you imagine Dallas, Texas being flooded?
Yeah, I was watching that. It's horrible.
Terrible. And then places out west, Arizona and all that sort of stuff. We had dear friends. We had dinner with them down the Cape, and it was Colin Johnson, who is Virginia's music teacher, and he's from Utah. And he went back for a family event at the same time and they were going up to visit the Yellowstone National Park, which is near Utah, I guess. My geography ends
West of Worcester?
the east coast to maybe Pennsylvania.
Oh, you actually go outside of Massachusetts?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
the West Coast, I think it's California and Oregon. So whatever is in the middle, as Virginia calls them, the flyover states. In any event, they get out there, here they are looking for this wonderful family reunion, and they had to sit to a deluge for a period of time. But such is life.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything's good here in Massachusetts. You have been very busy on the road, as you have been for a substantial number of years. You're up in the primary. You have no opponent in the primary, and you have no opponent other than a potential write-in if somebody decides to do a write-in
Yeah.
in the November election. All right?
Yeah, no,
But
that's
you're
correct.
still around. You're still going everywhere.
Yeah,
okay?
no, I'm still staying out. Whether
Still
you're
issues.
whether you're up for re-election or not, as you said, there's still issues out there, still things we got to work on.
Absolutely.
As we were saying before this tonight, we have a meeting at the Marine Corps League on Lake Ave in Worcester,
Right.
dealing with the sewer.
Infamous pump station
Yes.
on Lake Avenue that didn't work the way it was supposed to, and there goes Lake Quinsigamond for a period of time.
Yeah.
Right?
So tonight, the superintendent of the Worcester DPW is supposed to be coming in with the engineering plans on how to resolve this latest
Okay.
malfunctioning pump system.
Okay.
Based on what had previously happened, and one thing we'll probably discuss in here later is we did do a transportation bond bill.
Yeah.
Which out of that bond bill, I was able to get $5 million allocated in the bond bill for that work.
project.
Now, the way a bond bill works is the legislature
It's not real.
pass-
It's
right.
not real money.
It's not real money until the governor says it's real money.
Right.
So we've got the language in there. It's been approved by the Senate and the House. The governor signed off on the bond bill. So we have the meeting tonight with the Worcester DPW superintendent. They'll go over the engineering plans, what the cost will be, and I think it's either tomorrow or next Wednesday that we're meeting with A&F, the Administration of Finance, to see if we can get them to
Kick that money loose.
approve the money to get the work done.
Great.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. So hopefully,
It never stops.
no, and you know there's many sad parts about it, but going back, I want to say 10 years ago, 8 years ago, myself and Representative Dan Donahue were able to get $10 million. There was $7 million from a transportation bond bill, $3 from an environmental bond bill to do all the work on Route 20. If you remember, basically the way the sewer pipes used to run in Worcester, anything coming from Route 20 would go up Lake Ave, all the way by UMass Hospital, up Belmont Street and down to the city.
It made a lot of sense.
Right, so Worcester matched the 10 million that we get from the state to make it 20 million, and we basically rerouted the septage from Route 20, right up Route 20 to the Upper Blackstone.
Blackstone.
And we also, excuse me, thank
bless
you. And we also at that point replaced some of the pumping stations that had been overflowing. So when this occurred, 7 months ago, it was actually kind of a surprise because we thought everything had been
was
addressed.
squared away.
Yeah, so hopefully if we get this funded, we'll
Such is life.
rectify the
Okay,
problem.
you and I have been talking over the course of a whole bunch of our last few meetings about the perpetual state budget.
Yes.
Okay, and every time it was, the House has done this, and now the Senate has done this, and now it's in conference, and we don't know where it's going. But finally, there is a budget, an official budget, okay? You guys passed it, it went back to the House. Whatever happened-
$52 billion.
Whatever happened in conference happened, and the governor, my understanding is, from the Boston Globe, there was the telegram, we'll learn of it probably by mid-September. But if you want it, you read the Globe. $52.7 billion.
Yes.
Fiscal responsibility makes targeting investments to strengthen the state's economic foundations, protect our vulnerable citizens, support everyday needs of the communities and families. I got to tell you, you have a young man working for you that I understand is your director of communications, correct?
Yes.
All right. And every time we do one of these programs, I used to call up Shelley, which we have to give credit for now, in just a moment, and say, Shelley, I need to know what's on the agenda for Mike and I to talk about, okay? And I would get some sort of stuff. And then Shelley would, at one point, you took Alex on board. So now I'm going to Alex saying, Alex, what's been happening in the State House, and what's passed, and what's coming up? And I got 23 pages. Fortunately, he numbered them, okay? And it is, I said this in one of our earlier programs, because I think he did the same thing earlier about things that were coming up. This is everything that's happening under the Golden Dome, okay? All right, if we could figure out how to get these 23 pages emailed to the entire population of Shrewsbury, we wouldn't have to do a program, or you wouldn't have to do anything, okay? But there we all are, okay? But we do have a budget, okay?
Yes.
Last minute hitch, and this bothers me a lot. It is tradition that you guys and gals down there always wind up toward the end of the fiscal time when you gotta quit, which is the end of July.
July 31st.
July 31st, finally getting to a whole bunch of stuff, okay? It's happened as long as I remember work being done under the State House. And even when I was a high school kid, I used to pay attention to all this sort of stuff. And the same thing always happened then, okay? It always comes down to kind of the last minute when, finally compromise becomes absolutely essential at that stage and things get done, okay? Tons of stuff got done, okay? all you hear
Which the
from,
majority of the members will agree with you and say, why didn't we do this sooner?
right, exactly.
But it really becomes positioning between the Senate President and the Speaker.
Right.
We did one of the conference committee bills that came out of conference. We passed a mental health bill
Yep,
last, I think it was September,
yeah,
October. The House passed the online betting, sitting right around the same time frame.
yeah,
Then they sat there.
right,
The Senate not doing the online gaming until the House is going to do the mental health. House wasn't doing the mental health, so that ended up going right until basically, we actually went into session, I think 11 o'clock on Sunday morning, and the session broke at 10 o'clock Monday morning.
Yeah,
It
Monday
was-
morning,
Yeah,
right.
the longest I've had. It's
Longest
actually,
session.
I'm going to say, I think it's ridiculous that we should be able to get this done sooner.
right.
But at some point, well, not at some point, we just don't have, like when the Senate President and the Speaker, they're the ones that are battling this out.
Right. Well, that's the budget thing now,
Yeah.
okay, and
Well, the budget luckily got done.
no, I'm
Yeah.
talking about this additional, the extra money that it turned out we have.
Oh,
Even
so-
though everybody keeps talking about recession and things are expensive and all of that sort of stuff, and yet when somebody sits down and audits all of this sort of stuff, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has taken in more in revenue than it could spend presently, anyway, okay? That's amazing. It has amazed me for ages, okay?
So
There's
basi-
inflation, okay? What's the cause of inflation? People buying stuff, okay?
Well, there's people buying
And they buy
stuff.
and they buy stuff.
And there's also-
and they pay taxes.
Well, there's a-
except for 2 days in August.
Yeah, the inflation, there's a couple of things. There's one, there's so much money out there, people buying.
Yeah.
Which we just can't keep up with the supplies, and a lot of the supply issues, the fact that we can't fill jobs.
Right, so
And then we can't unload the material.
Right.
And then you've got the other issue with the supply chain.
Then the price has to go up
Right.
on the products, right?
Yeah, so there's a lot of factors that go in, and I mean, gas is coming down, which is good. But the big thing that out of all the,
We came home yesterday and the BJ sign up there had $3.97. My goodness gracious.
yeah, there's been some reports that nationally,
use her BJ's card. We go shop. We go.
nationally, it's on average, I think, down to 350 or 339.
Yeah, it's coming down.
Yeah, we're
It's
still a little
coming
higher.
down. It's
The big thing that happened.
I tell all my Republican friends saying, how come you how come you don't make all noises about how bad Biden is when the price of gasoline comes down? Only when it goes up, it's Biden's fault. Okay, when it comes down, well, that's because we don't give anybody credit for any of that sort of stuff. Okay?
No.
If you're on the party of which I am not a member. All right. In addition to monies that were in this budget, Alex tells me that there are a lot of specifics, and this, I think, is real money, right?
Yes.
$69,000 to purchase new voting machines for the
Yes.
town of Shrewsbury. I'm going to just talk about the town of Shrewsbury, okay? $25,400 for the Shrewsbury Fire Department to fund firefighter physical examinations, okay? Try this one, $20,613,148. Chapter 70 money, and Chapter 70 money again is what?
Schools.
Schools, okay. And then there's another one, and you gotta help me up on this. UGGA. What is that?
That's the unrestricted government aid.
So that goes back to Shrewsbury?
That goes back to, so this basically goes to the municipal side of government.
Gotcha. $3,226,898. Both of those numbers, ending with $148 and the next one ending with $898. I was
Well, he wanted to
laughing
put- he
on the
wanted to put the pennies in.
UGGA. I was going to say, point 43 cents.
I was going to say, he wanted to put the pennies in, but I told him, let's not be too specific.
All right, that's great for the community of Shrewsbury. And this is not bond money. This is real money.
This is real money.
Real money.
So basically, another issue that came up, because that night there were so many, I think there were 4 conference committee reports that we were waiting to come out that night. one issue that developed, which ended up lingering and still is not settled, the governor came up with the 62F,
Yep.
where this goes back to, I think it was 86 or 87, that
Yep.
when wage growth and revenue growth, there's a formula that when it hits a certain point, the state then has to give a tax credit.
Yep.
Well,
Let's give the money back.
Right. Well, you have to give so much money back, percentage of so much money back to each taxpayer. So the issue is that we actually passed the
That's the big thing now. All the good stuff that you did, even if you did it at the last minute, we're gonna go through a whole bunch of the things that you've done, including all of this. The only thing I'm hearing is, and they didn't get to the part about giving money back to us.
Well-
You guys spent 18 months trying to figure out, the tax revenue budget stuff that was going to go back to people, and that's been going on for ages. You were right there, I'm told, right at the minute, and Charlie Baker all of a sudden says, by the way, I may enforce that rule, that 60F rule, saying there's all that stuff, and he did it at the very last minute, right?
He did, but look, every year the auditor
Sure.
puts out a report, and if it references the 62F.
Right.
So
The report is due September 1st.
So when that report comes out, if Ways and Means, House and Senate doesn't look at that, then shame on them.
Right.
So they knew this issue was, they should have known this issue was there.
Yeah.
But having said that,
The Senate did. Your Senate president has gone on record as saying that, I knew that was all there. The guy that's Speaker of the House.
yeah, so basically right now what we have is we have
I didn't know about that.
we have the Economic Development Bill, which we passed, which contains, there's three aspects to it. There's actual, like the budget's actual money disbursement section. So we have economic development programs that we are sending, we have approved money to go back to.
Okay.
Then we have a tax cut section,
Yeah?
and so that section's in there. And then we have a third section which deals with a bonding bill part.
Yep.
So now the issue so if you take all three sections of that bill, comes to about $3 billion. The 62F that the governor is referencing comes to about $3 billion. So the Senate and the administration, governor's office, think there is enough money to fund both the economic development bill and the 62F. What we're hearing from the House side is the House has concern about this recession.
Right.
Which is fine. Whenever
Exactly.
that's you get concerned with, that's fine. But we also got, I think, $7 or $8 billion in the rainy day fund.
Right.
So if a recession does hit, as long as it's not as bad as 2009 or 10, we should be in good shape. But even if it is a severe recession, hopefully having that much money in our rainy day fund will help us carry over. And look, to me, part of our job is if the budget issues, then we work with the administration and we make the budget cuts. We make the appropriate budget cuts. That's what we're there for.
Right.
So I would like to see the Senate and the House, the Senate, Governor's Office, and the House agree with two of the other three branches and do both.
Okay.
There's actually one aspect in the bond bill that's important to me. Part of the economic development bill is that I was able to get authorized language in there to start a chip manufacturing incentive program here in Massachusetts. And it was right, I wish I could say I planned it this way.
Chip meaning
Microchips.
microchips.
Right, and it was just, and we proposed this just before
which-
the Biden administration came out nationally did.
Right.
Which
All cars have to have.
all cars,
have to have
military
chips.
infrastructure,
Everything.
everything.
Right.
So, and I worked with the High Tech Council with this.
Yeah.
So to me, I'd like to see that get done. Now, the problem we have is the economic development bill can be passed two ways. It can be passed in informal session, or you can call us back to a special session.
Right.
Now, the difference between an informal and a special is an informal session, we can only do two of the three.
Right.
We can only do the money disbursement, and we can only do the tax cuts.
Right.
The
And any one person who objects. and it's dead. in
Yes,
water.
one person objects, it's dead.
That's it.
Now, because the
That's
state,
usually stuff that's done about.
it's
you know,
usually small, like there's a
local.
there's a Shrewsbury bill right now, and it's a local bill, it's not controversial, so
And
things are
it's-
done.
It's something our town meeting has passed,
Yes.
and you guys have to say, okay,
Yeah.
which of course you will. Okay.
So, yeah, so
I-
the,
Not,
right, the,
That's
so
the way
the
it is.
bond, because it's a bonding, the state constitution requires a roll call vote. So if we wanna do the entire economic development bill, we will have to come back, get called back into a special session
Right.
and actually perform a roll call to pass the money disbursement, the tax cuts, and the bonding aspect. Now, the other glitch to it is that each branch needs 2/3 of its members to agree to a special session to come back.
right.
And actually, I just submitted last Friday, I put together a coalition of senators, about 13 or 14 of us, that have sent a letter to the Senate President asking that we actually
Oh,
come back
come
into
back.
special session.
Okay.
So
All right.
we submitted that Friday to the Senate President, so we'll see. But the
There is this long-standing tradition that you guys, every other year, and it's the election year process, end up on July 31st, and don't go back normally
Until
regular
January.
January.
January, yeah.
Okay.
And part,
Never totally understood that.
well, part of the reasons is
People running for office.
well, not just running for office, but just this very reason is that you don't want us passing a huge tax cut
Right.
just before the election,
Right.
because that could influence how a vote goes.
Sure.
But looking at the circumstances we're in right now,
Or that some of the people who are running for election, who are incumbents, may not be there.
right, yeah, yeah.
They may get defeated in November.
So, but I look at this as something that we've worked on. We've got the revenue for it.
Right.
We should get the money back to the taxpayers,
Right.
especially at a time right now where they're dealing with the cost of living, the inflation.
Sure.
That they need it. Let's get it back to them so they can get through these tough times, and hopefully we can continue to get the costs,
Right.
consumer prices to go down, and we can continue to move forward.
Okay, a couple of other things, of which there are gazillions of things to talk about. An act driving clean energy and offshore wind.
Yes.
Started in the House 5060, passed by the legislature. Tell us in a general sort of way. This is, again, our environment, okay? We talked about, 100 days of 90-degree weather and floods all
Flooding in
over
Dallas,
the
yep.
place. And maybe everybody at some point has to come to grips with the fact there's something going wrong, okay?
Well, you would hope so by now.
Well, you would hope so, but it's so hard. I get discouraged with it part-time. Tell me what
So basically-
Commonwealth of Massachusetts has always been in the forefront.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we've always been a leader in this. Usually, I would say usually pretty, always close behind California. They're
Yeah.
usually much more
Yeah.
ahead of us. But this broadens the reach of clean energy. It expands the role of the Clean Energy Center. It also modernizes the electrical grid, which if we are going to do a full transition over from fossil fuels to electric power,
Yep.
we have to modernize the grid.
Yep.
That's one thing right now, that if we put this through, the grid is just not strong enough to handle the capacity that's
stuff.
needed.
That's exactly.
So we're looking at advanced solar farms, promoting more offshore wind,
Right.
promoting geothermal.
Right.
We're actually even looking at nuclear has been looked at, and you got to excuse me when I may confuse this. I never realized that one form of nuclear energy produces the waste rods. So there's nuclear fission and fusion,
Right.
and the other form
You-
doesn't produce any waste.
You're talking to an English major at Boston College.
so-
I don't know one.
So
Other than, all I know is the folks down in Sandwich are in an uproar because they're closing the nuke plant down there,
Right.
which is 500 years old, okay? And they're thinking of dumping some of the stuff into,
Right, so the one form of nuclear power does not
create
produce the waste.
that stuff.
There's also a section in here that allows for to make the tea go green. It puts incentives on electrical vehicles.
I don't mean to interrupt you. To make the T go green. Ooh, it would be nice if we could make the T go.
Go.
Period. Okay.
Well, there's a whole issue with that
Green,
going.
blue, yellow, orange, whatever color it is. But we understand.
I hate to say it. I hope that
electric buses.
Right.
You know,
And
all that
I'd
sort
like
of
to
stuff.
see the Fed come in and take control, and let's finally.
Okay,
I've voted on, I think,
let's see
3
what hap-
overhauls of
let's
the
see
T.
what happens
So the
after
other thing is,
30 days of
there's
shutdown.
10 communities that will be authorized to go fossil free.
That's
That's up to
interesting.
them.
I
So
know.
that's their choice.
That's hard.
And then also, which spotlights the emissions. Then looking at cutbacks in natural gas dependency.
Right.
Then we also did the expanding protections for reproductive rights for women.
All right. All right. That's the next bill I want to talk about.
Okay.
Protection of reproductive rights. House 4954.
Yes.
Passed by the legislature. Okay.
Yep.
Now, this is obviously as a result of the United States Supreme Court, rather intriguingly, a 6-3 decision. I'm sorry, a 5-3-1 decision. The Chief Justice decided he didn't like the bill, all of the bill, but in any event, the Republicans won out.
Yes.
Okay, and Roe versus Wade, in effect for 70 some odd years, was immediately abolished. Okay, and whatever your feelings are, whatever your opinion is with reference to it, it has created chaos. Okay, amongst the states. And basically, what the Supreme Court said is each individual state will decide what each individual state wants to do. Okay. We're running out of time. Can we do another one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do another one because unfortunately we've run out of time.
One quick thing on this.
No, join us next time. We're done. Sorry.